expected a little more hooting and hollering from our Blue Cross partners here. So I have the distinct honor and privilege of welcoming our panelists for this session. First up, we have Zach Verhulst. Give Zach a round of applause. Zach is the founder and managing partner of Pure Architects, a West Michigan architecture firm based right here in West Michigan, and he's focused on creating healthy and vibrant communities through excellent design. Zach is an emerging leader serving on the Grand Rapids Board of Directors and receiving numerous awards in the architecture arena, including the 2019 Young Architect of the Year for AIA Grand Rapids, and also being named one of the Grand Rapids Business Journal's 40 Under 40 in 2023. Give him a round of applause again. Next up, we have Emily Griffen. Give Emily a round of applause. Emily became the owner and CEO of Brutes, a local company committed to making healthy beverage mixes. Her background as a personal trainer and a professional Muay Thai fighter fueled her passion for nutrition and led to her founding of her own company. With her products available in thousands of locations nationwide, Emily continues to expand sales into new territories across the country, as well as adding innovative, high-quality Brutes products to the brand's catalog. And next up is our final panelist, Dan Ribbens. Give Dan a round of applause. Dan is the co-founder of Payload CMS, the fastest growing open source CMS and application framework. In 2022, Dan's team earned a coveted spot in the Y Combinator Startup Accelerator in Silicon Valley, winning over an audience of early investors and adopters. He's one of the leaders pioneering our tech industry right here in Grand Rapids. So thank you, panelists, for being here. And I'm certainly excited to learn about their leadership journey today. First up, Emily, I wanted to start with you. And you are in the beverage industry, which is notoriously male-dominated. Will you tell us about your leadership journey? And you spent some time in LA, and of course, your Muay Thai fighting. How did all of that prepare you for this challenge?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily. Nice to meet you all if I haven't met you yet. Owner and CEO of Brutes. We are a non-alcoholic craft bar quality cocktail mixer out of Grand Rapids, actually out of Byron Center. Somewhat Grand Rapids. I'm a true advocate for women-owned business. Anybody that knows me knows I spend a tremendous amount of time advocating for women in business. Yes, as mentioned, my previous life was a 6-year stint of professionally fighting Muay Thai, which is a Thai traditional style of kickboxing, where I traveled the world fighting every 11 weeks. So within that insane journey, I have faced a lot of challenges, as you can imagine. This is going to come as a serious shock, but the martial arts industry is also male-dominated. So navigating that early on as a woman fighter was extremely challenging for me. Begging and pleading promoters to take me on for cards, taking a chance at me, has brought me into the role that I'm in now, oddly enough, doing cocktail mixers from the health and wellness side of things. But building out the confidence really has been the most important thing for me that I learned in my previous life of martial arts and of fighting, is making sure that I show or demand my presence, in a room in a male-dominated industry. So So yeah, some of the challenges that I face in martial arts have, like I said, transferred into cocktail mixers, oddly enough. So it's about making sure you know yourself, know your confidence, know your worth, demand a spot at the table. I was just telling somebody at our table that I've built the business of grit and grind. I'm an entrepreneur through and through. I come from a long line family of entrepreneurs. My grandmother was one of the first women stock traders in Michigan. So I come from a long line of hustle. I know what it's like to grind and to work hard. We are a woman-owned business, and I pride myself on that, and I'm a woman-owned founder, but at the end of the day, I'm a founder. And at the end of the day, our business speaks for itself, whether it's women-owned or not. But like I said, that's a true attribute and something that I pride myself on.
Thank you, Emily. Oh, did I hear? There we go. I appreciate that you hit on the term confidence too, which is sometimes difficult to develop and instill in folks as they are moving up the chains in terms of leadership. So thank you again. Dan, now will you tell us about your company and why you chose to invest and expand right here in West Michigan versus the other sites that may have been under consideration, whether it's California, Florida, New York?
Florida was never in the running.
But, all right.
So yeah, in the history of my company, we raised a lot of money from Silicon Valley. And so the obvious thing to do would be to move to Silicon Valley, start your company there, keep building it. And I had some personal reasons, which I want to share a little bit about. Corwell Health, one of the sponsors, my son was born with a complex heart condition. I didn't know how great the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital was before my son was born, but he had a number of complex heart surgeries here, so we trust our cardiology team. I'm not going to leave that. But it's way more than that. I'm one of two other co-founders. We were all sort of building our software bootstrap before we got investment, and it was just the founding team. So we could have chosen to move it somewhere else and sort of play in the big leagues. But I think West Michigan can play in those same markets, especially with a tech product that can be distributed globally. It doesn't much matter that we're in West Michigan, other than we raise eyebrows when we go to conferences in San Francisco, and they're like, where are you from? And no, you're in Michigan, but not Ann Arbor? What is going on? So it's very interesting, but here's the reason. We've got a lot of tech talent that is here that we just need to develop. We've got the hospitals, we've got all these great things. I think it was a no-brainer for us. Had we taken some of that investment money and relocated our families to live in the Bay Area, that would have been the budget. And here we have a whole budget. We raised $4.7 million in fundraising in 2022, and that was, we're still going on that money. We would have evaporated that so quickly trying to build something with the talent that we need in a market like that. So economics are a big factor, but I love being here, so I'm not going to go anywhere else.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, Zach, people often talk about the importance of grit and the fortitude to just keep marching forward. You worked in Detroit before coming back to start your company during the pandemic, which was, as we all know, some unprecedented time. What have you learned about grit during that?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, Joe. Thanks to the Chamber for a seat up here. I feel grateful for it. Grit, well, I worked in Grand Rapids for a decade after coming back from Detroit, so I've kind of had experiences in both places, but grit is an interesting, I think, topic these days, especially as a founder and leader trying to build a company rooted in well-being and mental health, good mental health. But grit, I think, is a difference maker for us. There is this connection between how hard we work and how good a project is. So Pure Architects right now, we've grown to 28 people split between offices. We have 25 of us here and 3 in Detroit. So we are working kind of coast to coast, and grit is kind of this universal characteristic that separates us from good to great. So we definitely leverage it, we preach it, live it out in our work and relationships. So I think grit to us is a way in elevating the work and relationships that we have.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And this question goes to Zach again. Sorry to put you on the spot twice.
Yeah.
There is a lot of discussion about workplace culture, and we probably all the leaders in this room are focused on how to have good culture and foster even better culture. So how are you developing a people-centered culture at your business?
Yeah, I'll sit up for this. I love talking about this. So people-centered is a good word. So I think we focus on our people. So we are a just company. So when we set out to build this practice in 2020, we adopted a just framework, which focuses on equity and transparency and trust building through those practices. So trust, I think trust ultimately is kind of the global like core value for us through and through. I think what we find is that it creates value inside of our company when our people trust us as leaders, and I think through transparency and decision-making, communication, that trust and transparency finds its way into our client relationships. So the better relationships that we're forming inside of our company translate into really great client relationships, and it's just a really beautiful circle that we're creating, between our people and the work that they do. So I think people-centered practice is great. I think really diving into, we were just talking about this before we came out, this kind of desire to sit in a seat. There's probably people in this room that have that, had or have that same desire where you get to control, how you hire people, how you pay people, the policies that you write, the money that you invest back in this community. So I have a lot of control and responsibility in building that people-centered practice. So I take it really seriously and have a blast doing it. So
Great.
Yeah.
Passion. It's a passion.
Oh yeah.
Now, Dan, people say that the next generation excels on work-life balance, and there are some that may say they excel too well on that. But what disciplines do you give yourself to ensure that you keep your work-life balance and prevent burnout for you and your team?
Yeah. I want to disambiguate a little bit from like work-life balance and just like burnout, because I think they're two different things and they're connected. But there's this problem where, young people that are quiet quitting or doing these things that people are talking about that's like seen as lazy probably has to go a lot back to the empowerment and the purpose reasons. If you think about a young person graduating right now, they've probably been told in their commencement speech, we have global warming to solve, we have all of these problems, we're gonna have to fix this. Oh, you're the generation to do it. But then do they really have any power to do anything when they get hired in? Like, we're not giving the young people the say, and so you're gonna tell them, go back to work, drive your car and burn fossil fuel to get to the job, but then go do this thing that you have to be engaged and really passionate about to be willing to do that. So that's a thing I'm thinking about when I hear about young people and what drives them and their motivators. They're probably not aligned to your company. There's probably a lot of other things they're thinking about. For us, the burnout question I think we can address really more directly, and that's having to do with making sure that people are effective with their time, because if you're drowning in tasks to do and you're overburdened, you're just going to get burned out, of course. And so we like to do things like, we're a very open mentality on how productive you are, and if you're not being productive on the task you have, you need to raise your hand. It's a very open atmosphere. That person's not failing. They just need help, or they need to be given something that they are effective on so they don't get burned out, so that they do feel like they're moving things forward. I'm a person that, I did my master's degree while working full-time. Like, I know a lot about burnout by dodging it. I was doing full-time both at one time, and now I'll have 4 young kids by the end of this month. So I should be burnt out, but I think I'm doing it pretty well. I'm going strong. So I really appreciate the question. But yeah, there's a lot you can do to augment your staff, make sure everyone's effective.
Sure. 4 young kids by the end of this month, that means you have to go to work to get a little peace and quiet once in a while?
Yeah, busy day at the office, I'll be out longer.
Emily, how important have mentors been to you in your business journey, as well as what role can mentorship play in the future of business leadership here in West Michigan?
Yeah, my mentors come a lot from, have been established by women-owned businesses. I sought out women that are doing something similar to what I'm doing or have lived experiences that I have lived. So that's been a really key point in my business, is making sure that I'm surrounding myself with successful women. In turn comes surrounding myself with successful men as well. I was always told at a young age, make sure that everybody that you hire, you surround yourself with, is smarter than you. So every room that I try to go into, I try to find somebody that's smarter than me, so I can learn something new from them, vice versa. I have to say the chamber has been a big part of that as well. Before I was telling somebody else that I'm an extrovert, but I'm also a bit of an introvert. Like, you won't find me at networking events. You'll be finding me hiding in my office and getting work done. So the chamber has been great about getting me out there, meeting people that I've never met before in different industries or similar industries. And a lot of those people have become very serious mentors in my life, and we meet on a regular basis. And I think making sure that no matter what, you put yourself out there, even if you're very vulnerable, even if you've made mistakes, even if you're looking for answers, or just sometimes just discussion can open doors that I never imagined, or it could be answers that me as a CEO, I'm sitting in my office trying to come up with all these solutions on my own all the time, playing 100 roles in the company, when really building out a team and finding these people to surround me with is what's going to ensure the success of the business. So I think it's just making sure to put yourself out there. Again, I go back to confidence a lot. It's something that I've had to work on a lot over the last 8 years. And making sure that I'm confident knowing what I'm doing, but also realizing that people have done it better, and that those conversations are instrumental and can play such a big part in moving my business forward.
I like the term extroverted introvert sometimes. Yeah. And I don't know if that describes you, but
yes.
We're going to dig a little deeper into some additional questions. So this is I don't have a particular order we're going to go in, but whoever wants to address or answer these questions first, speak up. How are you as CEOs addressing talent issues?
I want to talk about that. So I'm going to apologize to this crowd, because we are really exciting to work at tech company, and so we're going to steal some of your talent. There's a lot of old industry in the area of, like, well, you're a furniture company, and those are awesome industries. Those are really important. But people that want to work on code, they want to work at something that's a tech company. Like, the structure of the company is built to build software. If you can say that about your company, you're going to attract talent to do that kind of thing. I just wanted to say that as a tech company, I think we have a little bit of an unfair advantage hiring that role specifically.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll piggyback a little bit just from our table conversation we had related to this question, a leader worth following. I think we talked a little bit about this word worth is interesting. But I do think, there is this dynamic that's happening right now when we talk about this, like, war on talent and all these things, and everybody's like all about beanbags and beers and free LaCroix in their office. But there's like, if you actually want people to choose to follow you, to choose to work for you, to choose to burn out for you, or all these things, these things that we talk about all the time, you better get way deeper than that. You're in big trouble. So I think that's a really deep question that's easy to just like look past as a CEO in a setting like this. But I would encourage everybody to kind of dig into what it means to be like worth following. That's a really tough question, I think, and it's a really good one to like sit on for a minute, especially when you're like encouraging people to come give their time and talent and all these things. to something that you dream about all the time. So,
I always like the quote, be the leader you wish you had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's also about instilling that culture so early on in your business, setting those boundaries, figuring out which people play key roles, and then the people that enter your business from there on out, that's already instilled. That culture is there from day one. So they know the expectation. They know what the business is going to look like when they're there on day one because you've built these core values. You've built a culture. You've built a safe space. You've built a healthy mental health space. All of those things that are important to you, as it's kind of been discussed already up here, be transparent as a CEO. That's been a hard thing for me to learn, but being open and honest with employees. This is what I stand for. This is what's important. I need you to go out there and sell that for us. And you have to believe that just as much as I do. So finding people that are like-minded, that are passionate about the project, that are passionate about a smaller to middle grade business like myself, excited about growth, all of these attributes that have already been established in the core. So you know what you're looking for, from the beginning.
Well, we've got just a few minutes left, so we have one, question I think each of you will get just over a minute to answer. As we close, when you think about our theme for today, leadership for the future, what are you folks thinking about, and what takeaway would you leave for our audience as we depart today? Whoever wants to go first.
I think I touched on it already. Just empowering people and making sure that they feel like the work they do is important to their community, to their family, to their own personal life. I mean, that's going to be a hard thing to do for everyone, but something where it's a virtuous goal and it's impossible to fail, and you will do your best effort.
Yeah, I will piggyback off that completely. Like I just kind of previously said about building that established core, right? And knowing that transparency and knowing that people are going to be in and out of your business. That was a hard pill for me to swallow as well. It's like, why are you quitting? What? You can't leave? Like, people transition in life, people move around, and that's okay. And you find people that are really strong, and maybe they'll stay with you, maybe they'll go somewhere else, but it's still about that core foundation. And it's about me being a leader to make sure no matter where an employee goes, they know what was instilled with them from Brutes, and they knew who I was as a CEO, and they knew who our advisory board was, and they knew what they stood for. They know our core missions, they know our core values. Whether it worked out for them or not, I want to make sure they leave with that, knowing that that's what we stand for. So that's the growth of my business and as a leader, is just continuing to instill that and build out the bigger picture based around that.
Yeah, so I think leadership is changing. This dynamic between employee and employer is changing. But I think for us, I think one, we're also, I think we are all talking about this. The three of us are growing businesses that are hiring all the time, a lot right now. And so I'm heavily focused on culture building and talent acquisition, talent retention. So these questions around like culture and workforce are very relevant. But for us, I think in our first 2 years, we focused heavily on performance, output. Is the product good? Is it not good? If you aren't doing good, then you work somewhere else kind of mindset. And we've really transitioned now into is your personality right? Are you able to persevere? Are you passionate about our work? Are you passionate about other people that work here? And performance is kind of this thing that's a bone. Usually those people perform well. And so I think maybe the thing I would leave everybody with is I take everybody in my entire company out, whether it be lunch or coffee or something, and I actually listen to them. So if you don't know the people that work for you, and you don't know if they have hardship or success, any of that kind of stuff, I would highly encourage you to start getting to know who works for you. Are they happy or not? Otherwise, your ability, for us, it's super expensive to turn somebody over, especially if they're really good. And so it's critical, I think, for us to retain. So anyways, I think that's my 2 cents.
I like it. You know, our CEO once told me we can get people trained. We just need to have good people. And I think that
skills are overvalued. Like, skills bring utility, but they're overvalued in my opinion. Most smart people can learn stuff, but it's really hard to like untrain a bad attitude. Sure. You know, in your 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. From like 4 to 14, you learn how to be an a-hole, I guess. So if you're after that, you're kind of lost.
Can you unlearn it?
I don't know. No, I don't know the trick. Maybe some of you know the trick, but it's kind of built in after.
Well, thank you, and thank you to our panelists. Please give them a round of applause.